Oh, how the cookie crumbles. I thought I'd get that out of the way real quick, just so we don't have to live in limbo, you know, for when is he gonna do the Crumbl joke, you know? The Crumbl cookie empire might be falling apart because it turns out that releasing a completely new lineup of cookies every single week in 1,100 stores across the entire world is not an easy task. The social media content that has driven so much of their exponential growth over that time has turned on them with hundreds of bad reviews and people who loved the brand for years turning their backs. In a lot of ways, the crumbling of the Crumbl cookie empire is a symbolic moment of our current economic and consumer landscape. This was a company that was entirely built around the hype cycles of online trends, celebrity collaborations almost every single week, designs and aesthetics prioritized over flavor, and nutritional information that should give you a heart attack. This is not a budding legacy brand laying out the foundation for the next 100 years of business, but a pump and dump scheme designed to make a few people a lot of money. Just listen to this. Founded in 2017, started franchising in 2018, and grown to 55 stores by 2019. But this is the big part. From 2019 to 2025, they grew from 55 stores to 1,100 stores across the world. That's almost a store every 2 days for half a decade. That's freaking bananas, dude. That's banana cookies, dude. God damn it. And now, for the first time since they opened their doors, they're closing them. But don't try and get too excited because we don't know where this is going to go yet, because there is a few turns in the story that I did not see coming. All right, so we made a video about Crumbl at the peak of this trend. Well, actually, we were kind of on the tail end of the trend, weirdly, as you'll kind of see. But in that video, I tried some of the cookies just to confirm my suspicions and sort of get the full experience right. They were gross. And looking back on that video, I think we really nailed it with this line. And now if you're thinking, yeah, this sounds like a completely unsustainable business model from a purely logistical standpoint, I would probably agree with you. The pace that they set was so fast. The growth that they expected was so intense. And the cookies were just so clearly a means to an end that this collapse that we're talking about today was sort of inevitable. But as we'll talk about in a minute, that was probably not an accident either. The reason why this worked so well, though, is that it tapped into some pretty fundamental consumer behavior that we have seen a lot since COVID. This is sometimes called the lipstick theory, but it's also being called trade down economics. Basically the idea that people buy smaller indulgences when economic times get harder. Instead of investing or buying a house or whatever, you buy the $5 cookie instead. The peak of this trend was filled with influencers making content about the latest drops, Reddit users speculating on the next lineup that was gonna come out. The buzz and excitement about this company was huge. And this trend became like a social glue for a country that was physically divided by suburban sprawl and socially divided by the internet. And so the community that we've lost got sold back to us in the form of these silly weekly cookie drops. This was admittedly a shallow replacement, but it was a sweet little something that got you through the week. And so, despite record levels of debt in the United States, record low consumer confidence, and a general lack of faith in our corporate institutions, people still went out for a sweet little treat. Generations Z and Alpha are never gonna be able to afford a house, so they're buying smaller treats to make themselves feel better about it, right? And the more that I learn about this whole thing, the more I'm convinced that this was actually a part of the plan. Like, this down that we're seeing is baked into how these things go nowadays. In fact, I found in an article this conversation where this expert basically said that the dessert world is prone to fads.
And I think that that's very interesting, that this world in particular of sweet treats has a real boom and bust cycle to it. Why sweet treats? Why are sweet treats the thing that have such a boom and bust cycle to them.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do? Like a trendy grilled chicken?
I think there's a cost affordability aspect here as well. Like if you're making chicken parm the trendy item of the year, there's people who aren't going to go out of their way maybe to purchase like a $20 or $30 meal at a restaurant versus a $5 or $10 snack on their way out and about. You can try it on the street, maybe on your way to another location. It's maybe more dynamic and easier to riff on as well. Like, I don't know why I'm choosing chicken parm, but like you can't do a chicken and parm inspired something else. I mean, you can, but it might be really gross. Versus with froyo, there's a million different ways to make froyo. With like Dubai chocolate, for example, you can make a Dubai chocolate shake, Dubai chocolate ice cream, Dubai chocolate anything.
Okay, don't get the Dubai chocolate strawberries from Crumbl because they literally give you half the cup for $11. I'm so mad. It looks like doo-doo on a cup.
And how do we know that this is just a trend? Because the desserts and cheap snack category is actually booming right now because of all the reasons that I mentioned earlier. There is a multitude of other dessert brands having a ton of success right now. So it's not that people just aren't buying sweet stuff anymore. They're just not buying Crumbl. So this company, built very specifically around fleeting online trends, is going to go out of style in the same way. But then I did some Googling while I was looking this up, and apparently froyo is potentially coming back into style. So maybe this is actually not the end for Crumbl. I don't know, because if froyo can come back, pretty much anything can.
People get grossed out over sweet things. It does reach a point of saturation where you just don't want to eat any more really sweet cookies. Like you eventually you kind of grow out of it, or you just get oversaturated and you're just like, oh my god, I can't eat another frickin' froyo, because it's just like it gets to the point where you're kind of over it.
I don't think Crumbl's gonna go away and it's like, oh, like now we're a lot of sweet treats out there these days. No, it's gonna be replaced by something else. I remember all of like the cupcake stores that would pop up. Cupcakes were like a very trendy thing in the 2010s, and then cake pops kind of killed cupcakes.
Say that 5 times fast.
I was editing the Crumbl video and I found an article from CNBC that calls cake pops the cupcake killer.
Cake pops are the cupcake killer.
So what I think is happening right now is we are witnessing the enshittification of Crumbl. The founders have jumped ship. Instead of celebrity endorsement, they're getting celebrity roasted by Zooey Deschanel.
These cookies are too big. I don't like. Oh my god, it's so sweet. What is this? I don't think these cookies are my thing. I don't mean to complain, but I don't like these cookies. Some of them tasted overbaked, some of them tasted underbaked. Nutshell review. I hate these cookies.
And instead of viral videos about their latest drops, they're going viral for releasing something that nobody should be drinking. The crazy cousins drink thing is something that we talked about in our Dirty Sodas episode, which you should watch if sweet stuff going crazy is something that you're kind of interested in. We make content about this all the time. Subscribe if you want to see more. I don't know why I'm speaking in this cadence. So we've talked about enshittification before on the channel. The term enshittification just basically describes the corrosion of a business, usually online, that makes a product worse for the end user while increasing prices and profits for the company shareholders. We've seen this happen a lot with streaming services like Netflix and Spotify, and you see it happening with lots of real-world brands who essentially sell out to private equity only to be rebooted and sold off to the lowest bidder. See, this company, maybe now more than ever, is a perfect symbol of late-stage capitalist economics that we're living in right now. Quick little interruption from an Airbnb here in Lethbridge, Alberta. Shout out to all of our fans in Lethbridge, Alberta. We've actually just voted to read the book Enshittification as a part of our Patreon-only book club, which is, of course, a great place for you to support this channel, but also gain access to a community where we dive into these subjects in greater nuance and detail. It is very overwhelming to learn about all of the horrible consumer stuff that's going on in the world, but we are trying to cultivate a space where you can communicate and exchange ideas and some nuance on these subjects. Yes, we gripe and complain about the bad stuff that's going on in the world, yes, but we also get to share some of the positive stories and hear some of the real world situations that sort of contextualize these online trends. If you are interested in supporting what we do and being a part of that, the link is going to be down in the description below. It's the only way to truly directly support what we do on this channel. Plus, you get early access to videos, some exclusive content, and once again,
the book club. The tiers are affordable, the vibes are good, so consider checking it out down through the link in the description below. Yeehaw!
This business was not built to last. It was designed to grow as fast as possible to capture as much attention and money as it possibly could along the way, and then crash. The last stage of this process that we're watching Crumbl go through right now is where private equity sucks the remaining life out of the business before leaving its husk behind. And what do you know? Despite all the bad news about this business and less social capital than they've ever had, they somehow locked in a bunch of venture capital as the whole operation is going up in smoke. TSG Consumer Partners acquired a minority stake in the chain, valuing the company at nearly $2 billion. This is all happening despite proof that the company is struggling. Crumbl concealed a bunch of their company stats around franchises, which is sort of weird because that was one of their primary sources of revenue, and weirdly, especially because they were one of the most expensive franchises to get in the United States. At the same time, making the cookies has become unsustainable too. They're prioritizing cheaper ingredients, swapping out real ingredients for more synthetic ingredients, hiding ingredients data from their website, and workers are letting the aesthetics slip because, you know what? They'll be gone next week anyways. So what is next for Crumbl? I would love to say just an absolute crash and burn. We never hear from them again. It's just over, you know? I'd love to say that. Like we're just gonna lower the casket into the ground, or we're just gonna shoot them out of a rocket and just watch them explode. But that's probably not what's gonna happen.
I am at the Walmart Supercenter in Renton, Washington.
Hey, you can't make this shit up. Look at this. I'm in Walmart in Renton.
Because the team has been trying to track down the Dove X Crumbl body wash, face scrub, deodorant collection. You know what's great about Walmart is you can get the Crumbl deodorant, you can get the Jake Paul W deodorant, or you can get the Papa Tui the Rock deodorant.
I've been using this now every day, and it is incredible. It is for pits, back, chest, package, but
this is the Dove X Crumbl Confetti Cake deodorant. It's notably aluminum free, which is the kind of deodorant that makes you smell really bad. So if you've started noticing that a lot of public spaces in America have started smelling like a mix of BO and confetti cake, I think you have three companies to blame. Crumbl, which has run out of ideas for cookies and has started making skincare products. Dove, which has decided that this would be a good idea, and Walmart, because the only place you can buy this is at Walmart. Okay, I'm gonna take this off and sniff it. It kind of looks used. Isn't the deodorant supposed to have like a little safety layer on top before you open it? I swear to God, I just opened this thing now for the first time. Oh my God, okay. It smells incredibly sweet. I don't know what else it smells like other than sweet. I don't know what color you would call this, but it's not very confetti cake. I would say they screwed up the packaging by making it so pink, knowing that the deodorant would be this kind of like pale tan color. Ugh, with every deodorant you smell, you have to imagine what it might smell like just mixed with human sweat. That's really bad. That's supposed to stay on you for 72 hours, by the way. You know, we made this video a long time ago about how grocery store labels on food were starting to lose their meaning. I think limited edition is going to join that party soon. This deodorant came out in 2024. It is the middle of 2026, and I just bought it from a Walmart. There's plenty of these on the shelves. This is not limited edition. This is limited edition because Crumbl's brand is limited edition. Anyway, I'm about to suffer a heat stroke, so goodbye.
Weirdly, bad cookie reviews aren't actually as bad as they might seem because they still get influencers going out to try these cookies to then make videos that in some cases actually go more viral than when the cookies taste good. And maybe the worst part of this for me is that this business exists at the expense of everyone's health and well-being. These are horrible cookies that are terrible for you, and they're expensive, and they don't taste good, but the company pushes out another batch every week. Why? Because they're profitable. That's it. Because they make them money. That's the only reason why this company exists. It's not about a passion for baked goods. It's not about sharing something special with the community that you love or being frickin' Mormon, because the owners are Mormon if you didn't know that. This subreddit post kind of perfectly summarizes this experience and is kind of a little sad. So in this post, she talks about how she got really into Crumbl during a particularly challenging time of her life. She used these cookies and basically a bunch of coffee to get through challenging shifts at work. But since then, she's been feeling better. She's learned how to bake her own cookies, and now going to Crumbl just feels different. And she sort of asks, like, did Crumbl change in that time, or did she change? Did she evolve out of that habit, or is there actually something substantively wrong with the Crumbl cookie experience? The truth, I think, is that she reached a point in her life where she didn't need to cling to this unhealthy habit anymore. When she got to a point in her life where she had a bit more autonomy and she wasn't depressed and she wasn't overworked and she had a bit more space to think and maybe bake for herself, the cookies didn't hit in the same way. She didn't need this routine and this habit that she knew was unhealthy because she had other ways to support herself in her life. You know what I'm saying? And I think what this reveals too is that when you are buying Crumbl cookies on a regular basis, you're not doing it because you just love it, right? You're not doing it because it nourishes something in your soul. You're probably doing it because you feel stressed, you know, or you're lonely, or you don't like what you're doing in your life, and so this sweet thing feels really good in contrast. Like, I don't think that people are ripping energy drinks all day and feeling good about it, right? Like, nobody's smoking a whole pack of cigarettes and feeling good about it. They do it because it's a vice that gets them through the challenging day-to-day struggles of their life. And this is why Crumbl and all of these sugary treat trends come and go so quickly, because it's ultimately unsustainable to have a giant box of sugary cookies as a part of your everyday routine. Eventually, at some point, you have to acknowledge that there's nothing good in this for you other than the fleeting feeling that you get when you put that much sugar into your face at one time. And as you may have seen recently, a lot of the new consumer products that were being pushed and marketed today center around this idea of wellness. Everything that we are consuming now has to have some sort of false health promise attached to it. And we talk about that in a whole bunch of our other videos. Energy drinks, functional sodas, there's a whole bunch of them. If you want to see more of that kind of content, subscribe to our channel and you'll see an episode from us every single week. And if you want to support what we do here, we also have a Patreon page where you can gain early access to our videos, exclusive content, and a Discord community where we talk about these things with even greater nuance. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week.
Like you've seen the water bottle. This, like, that was the craziest thing about like looking into this and making that video. It was like seeing these people like, okay, let's wake up, kids. Which water bottle do you want to bring to school today? And there's just a whole display wall, like it was like in a store for their kids to pick out the water bottles. And I'm like, oh, what are we doing here, people? Like, why, like, what? Where they open up a cabinet, it's just like filled with 100 water bottles. It's just,
and you're like, Frankie will never.
Yes, yeah, Frankie. Don't look, Frankie.
That's something we've been